Welcome, Spider Faithful, to Geek Salad's Retro Movie Reviews from the Geek Salad Podcast. I'm Andy.
And I'm Mike.
And tonight, we kick off Ani-MAY-tion month by talking about animated films throughout the month of May. Because we just did a Disney month, we are actually going to make a concerted effort to not pick a Disney film or a Pixar animated film. We are going for all the other studios. And Mike and I have been going back and forth about certain movies, what we want to do, the availability of those movies on streaming. And we figured it would just be easiest just to do the most acclaimed animated movie of the last 10 years, Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse.
Yep.
Very nice.
Thank you.
So yeah, I'm actually wearing my Stan Lee shirt. So,
very nice.
So first off, Mike, where did you find this? Did you find this on a streaming service, or did you just did you already have it on like a digital copy?
Yeah, I had a digital copy, and it was like linked to a whole bunch of my accounts, including Amazon. So I watched it last night.
Yeah, that's how I did mine. I usually might go to his movies movies at home.
Yeah.
But I could honestly throw it right into YouTube.
Yeah,
but
I think my movies at home and Amazon accounts are linked. So
yeah,
most of the movies that are on there are also on Amazon.
Yeah, they're all linked. So that's how we watch it. I don't know if it's streaming or not anywhere else. It's not on Netflix. It's not on Stars, and it's definitely not on Disney Plus.
I was wondering about Stars.
Yeah, it might be. I don't know. I didn't even bother to look. But nevertheless, hopefully, if you're watching this now, you have already seen Into the Spider-Verse. It was a 2018 winner for Best Feature Animated Feature.
Yeah.
It actually made Chris Lord and Phil Miller Academy Award winners because they produced this.
They didn't direct this?
They did not direct this. No.
Wow, it was actually 3 directors.
Yeah, but neither one of them was either Lord or Miller.
No, Lord does get co-screenplay credit. And he gets story by.
Right. But it's just the way that the animated Oscar rules work. They actually are considered Academy Award winners now because of that. I think it's the primary producers and the directors get the Oscars for that. But which is really cool.
And it's critically acclaimed. It's got 97% on Rotten Tomatoes.
A few years ago, when we actually looked back at the last decade's movies, 2010 to 2019, and this was our number 1 animated film based on votes that we had taken. And it's still, I mean, watching it the other day, it's still an incredible watch.
Yeah. I honestly, I haven't watched it for maybe a couple years.
Yeah.
But yeah, just watching it again last night, I was just blown away again by just how amazing it is, how amazing it looks, how great the characters are, how nice the fan service is.
Yeah. What's cool about it too is that it's just, what's the word I'm trying? It's very every choice they make is very, very inspired.
Yes.
It's very much, it's a film that is eager to please. Yeah. In a lot of the different ways. Yep.
Kind of like the Lego Batman movie. It's, I don't want to say it's a parody film, but like especially when they start bringing in like Spider-Ham and Spider-Man Noir, it has parody elements. Yeah. But like most of the best parodies, you can really only make fun of something that you truly love, and you can tell they love this. They love.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and that's the thing is that, you know, Lego Batman, animated Spider-Man are, they're very much tributes, but they know how to work Easter eggs in. They know how to work fan service in a way that isn't pandery.
Yeah.
And it opens the world up so much. And when you think about the ambition that this movie took to not just be about the one Spider-Man, to be about multiple Spider-Mans, and to send the message that anybody can be Spider-Man.
Yeah. And I mean, especially to not base it on Peter Parker, but to base it on Miles Morales instead. I mean, one of the newest Spider-Man introduced.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I remember when the Chuds lost their mind when he was introduced as being the Spider-Man, but that was expected.
Yeah.
You're right. It's a great way of introducing Miles Morales to a larger audience. But also just to show the differences in the other characters, getting a really good look at Spider-Gwen.
Yeah.
Since I was a kid, I've always loved Spider-Ham, so I was so happy to not only to see him appear, but to be voiced by John Mulaney.
Yeah.
What was funny about it though was that the way I mean, the Spider-Ham that I grew up with was the Star Comics Spider-Ham, which was a little more, the storytelling was a little more straightforward than straight up Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
The way that they did that here. Not that I had any problem with the way they did Spider-Ham here. He was fantastic. And,
like the anime fan that I am, I absolutely love Penny Parker.
Yeah. Yeah.
I especially love how her mouth never quite matched up with the dialogue because it looked like she was dubbed.
Because the dub, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, too, is that the way that they did the animation, for the most part, most of the external characters looked like they were being animated by somebody completely different.
Yeah.
Penny Parker, and Spider-Man particularly. Even Spider-Man Noir didn't really take on the same look that Gwen or Peter B. Parker or Miles had.
Yeah. And watching it again, I was really amazed at how much I really, really loved Peter B. Parker.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked him a lot in the first view, but watching it again, I was really blown away by how much development they really gave him. I mean, I would say second to Miles, a really, really nice character arc.
I agree. I feel like he's it's tough because we know the other Peter Parker, but it's nice to see a Peter Parker that's fallen upon hard times.
Yeah.
Who's made some questionable decisions with his money. Never opened a Spider-Man restaurant.
And who was like, he's just so terrified of about having kids that he actually broke it off with Mary Jane, and something that he's regretted every single day since.
Yeah.
But he's like trying to hide. He's like, no, I don't regret it, but you can tell he totally regrets it.
Right, exactly. He's very stubborn, but he's very headstrong too, which is what I love about him is that he's also kind of ridiculous in the way that he kind of flouts his authority to Miles. Trying to teach him but not really teach him how to utilize his powers. The whole thing when they are trying to get into the building and he's got this amazing plan that isn't going to work, and he managed to get himself captured. Yeah. Even just like the whole thing where he knows where they need to start to take care of getting the information they need, and it's just they have to first stop and get a burger. So
yeah. Oh, I love this burger. Oh, this place closed down like 6 years ago in my universe. I don't know why. Oh,
yeah. But there's so much subtlety. The scene in the lab. First of all, there's a lot of great things in the lab. I mean, starting from like just the little mundane little details, like the whole when they're trying to escape and they walk through the cafeteria and they're just trying to play it subtle. And Peter grabs the bagel, as was part of the plan.
Yeah.
And then all the scientists look. And they all just spring to action with guns, and someone's like, "He took a bagel!"
One of my favorite things though is that when they're escaping, Miles throws a bagel, hits the guy, and you just see bagel.
Yep. I love that. I love the use of the lettering.
Yeah.
Like the lettering effects on here was fantastic. It's just. All right, so if you go back to other movies that have attempted to make it to give themselves a comic book look. I'm thinking most specifically 2003's Hulk.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hulk was. I mean, Ang Lee was not a comic book reader, so they would. He was trying to do something.
Yeah.
But it works with Spiderverse primarily because you get in close. You can see the dots for how it's print. You can kind of see that newsprint ink, which is really cool. But yeah, the lettering in that was fantastic.
I do love how he's got the word the thought bubbles, but not until he gets bitten by the spider.
Right.
It's like he's perfectly normal. As soon as he gets bit, he's got those word bubbles. Like now he's a comic book character.
Yeah. Yeah. I also love too how anticlimactic that whole thing was. They get the spider kind of doing this thing, and you're waiting for him to bite him, and just the second that happens, he's just like,
yeah, it bites. You see the vein, the toxins go in. Just he walks away.
Yep. The villains in this movie are amazing, which is a lot of them are more the Ultimates versions.
Yeah.
Of the villains. You've got a big jacked Norman Osborn Green Goblin. You've got a Hispanic Scorpion
who's like cybernetic.
Yeah, he's got cybernetic features.
Yeah. I mean,
but
most of the villains are kind of thrown away, but the two villains that you need to have depth, they have depth big time.
Yeah.
Both
Prowler
and Aaron.
Yeah. Prowler is fantastic.
Yeah.
I know he was kind of teased for the Holland stuff because essentially it's the same character that Donald Glover played.
Yeah.
So the thing is also Prowler is one of those characters I remember seeing in you see him in the Handbook of the Marvel Universe. But you never really see him, and to not only bring him in and give him life and to make him terrifying, they gave him that theme.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing I don't think enough people talk about in this movie is the music. The score of this movie is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's got a great song soundtrack. Sunflower was actually nominated for Best Original Song that year.
The score itself was done by Daniel Pemberton, who I don't know what else he's done.
Not familiar with him, but there's a lot of great little cues in there.
Yeah.
And it's very high octane. It does a lot of really good modern stuff. The other villain is Octavius, Liv to her friends.
Oh yeah, Liv.
Her enemies call her Doc Ock.
I small little thing, but I love it when she shows up at Aunt May's and May's like, "Oh great, Liv's here." It's like, okay, they have connection.
Yep, they do. It was also really refreshing to hear Catherine Hahn's voice again.
Yeah.
I mean, she's done so much in the MCU, and it's nice to see her as this character. I wouldn't honestly mind seeing her as the live-action version of this character, too.
I would have no issue with that.
I love the design of this character. I love the more fluidity of the arms. They're not mechanical. They look more rubbery.
Yeah, they're like almost like elastic tubes almost.
Yeah, exactly. And there are certain things when you see them do stuff, there is air or something that looks like it's compressing through in the comic. That makes a lot of sense, Kevin. Yeah. And I did hear a theory about that a few years ago that of course, maybe, and Aunt May is voiced by Lily Tomlin. Yeah. So, we can put two and two together there. It is a good callback too, especially if you're you want to honor the comic books, but you've also changed the sex of your Doc Ock. But just the character work in that, her hair, everything is so it works so well.
And when she's got Peter B. Parker and she's like saw his blood, it's like, well, you're gonna die an agonizing death, and I can't wait to see it all happen. It's like, okay, you're just a sicko right now.
Yeah, but I love that too because she's also she's intrigued. She wants to dissect.
Yeah,
she wants to dissect a Spider-Man.
Yeah.
What's that?
And the thing is, like she's trying desperately she's trying to fulfill Fisk's and a goal in getting his family back, but she's got to know if they actually pull the an alternate version of his family over, they're not going to survive long.
Yeah.
So she's kind of like two tiny men almost.
Yeah. Well, she's got her own agenda, which is interesting. And I will say this: I'm not sure what your feelings are. I really wasn't a huge fan of Liev Schreiber's Kingpin.
I didn't have an issue with it. I thought the character was very actually fleshed out quite nicely. He's blaming everybody but himself, which is the best villain. And I thought his voice was fine.
Which makes sense. I honestly, what my biggest issue was? I felt like he talked too much. In the comic books, the Kingpin was more stoic. He was more measured. Quite honestly, he would have never actually been the one to shoot Prowler. He would have had one of his henchmen do it.
Probably Tombstone.
Tombstone, yeah.
But I'm that didn't really bother me mainly because especially if you play like the Spider-Man video game, whenever you come across Fisk, he's not exactly the stoic, quiet type. He's kind of a little bit of chatty.
Right. Well, it's also maybe that's the case with when Kingpin was a Spider-Man villain before he kind of turned into a Daredevil villain, because we all know we can all envision in our head that frame in one of the Frank Miller Daredevils where they took Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin, and turned him into Daredevil's mortal enemy. One frame.
Yeah. Plus, you also got the X Netflix series, and that the Vincent D'Onofrio Kingpin is much more stoic and lets his Fisk do the talking.
Yeah, exactly. I like that version of Fisk the best out of all of them. But it didn't take away from the movie. This movie has got a lot of great characterization, the relationship between Miles and his dad, voiced by the always amazing Brian Tyree Henry.
Oh yeah.
This I think might have been the first thing I'd seen him in, even if it was just a voice. I wasn't that familiar with. And then he did something in Godzilla versus Kong.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen that one. I mainly know him now from Eternals.
Yeah, he's Phastos in Eternals, which I just recently rewatched. The movie gets so much better on repeated viewings.
Yeah.
But he's great. I mean, Mahershala Ali is really good as Uncle Aaron Prowler.
Who's like, again, much like his brother, he's just the flip side of the coin. He does a lot of questionable things, but one thing he does is that they both have this in common is they both love Miles.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what ends up getting him killed. But it's good. It was just one of those things that it redeems him in a way. Because of that, even though he was, pretty instrumental in killing the Chris Pine Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this. I think the voice cast was fantastic in this. I loved Nicolas Cage, who did very, very little, but what he did was just amazing. It's just, you need that kind of weirdo.
Is that purple? No, it's red.
It's everything black and white.
I love it when he goes back to his world at the very end. He's got like, come see the cube.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun, and it's really fun to look at the animation with that too, where the wind always blows around him.
Yeah.
Even if they're downstairs in a basement. I really enjoy it.
It smells like rain.
Yeah. And I messaged you yesterday when I was watching this. The end credit sequence is just mind-blowing how good it is in terms of just this 360 artwork that just keeps going around and around and around.
I think it utilizes every single Spider-Man meme ever created.
Yeah. Not only that, some of the cinematography, some of the choices that they made in specific shots are just burned into my mind now.
For me,
yep.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that scene when Miles finally takes the mantle of Spider-Man, puts the mask on, and he jumps, but they flip the camera so he's flying upward.
I was going to say the same thing. I mean, when the glass like kind of flies off with his fingers, you see just the shards as he's flying upwards. It is some of the best animation I've ever seen.
Yeah. It's interesting too because that around that time was also one of the best shots in a DCEU movie when Billy finally realizes that his birth mother is no good, and he gets up to the roof and he runs off the roof, and he does this thing where he just pulls himself back and says Shazam, and the lightning hits and he just flies away, and it's like there was something in the water when they did both of those shots because they're both very artistic and very, very cool looking.
Yeah. And both, I mean, not only visually effective, but they're effective in kind of showing you where the character is finally gotten. The character is finally coming into their own.
Yeah. Yeah. He's becoming a superhero now, and he ascends.
Yeah.
But for him to ascend, he's actually descending because that's what he do.
Yeah. Just a leap of faith.
Yeah. And I was just so not blown away by that. Again, the songs in this, the soundtrack is just incredible.
Yeah.
This is also the last. Oh, this was the first cameo of Stan Lee after he had passed away, and that's all based on the release.
Yeah.
I had that really nice dedication at the end.
Yeah, when I saw it in theaters, I did get a bit choked up at that point, especially with what he was saying.
Yeah,
because that is totally Stan Lee stuff.
Right, exactly, and then no refunds, no returns, no refunds. But yeah, the thing at the end where they had the sunglasses just kind of down, and it was a dedication to Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, who'd created the character. And that was it was a really nice touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was the last one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
No, this is the first one. It was the first one because the last one that came out while he was still alive was Teen Titans Go to the Movies.
I didn't realize he had a cameo in there.
Stan Lee loves doing cameos, even if they're not for the right thing. Actually, I gotta look at the date.
Well, I mean, this one was
2018. Yeah, this came out in summer 2018.
Yeah. This one came out December of 2018.
Yeah, exactly. And then Captain Marvel came out, I think, March of 2019.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. So, yeah, and that was a tough one too. But it was really nice. It was nice that they were able to get that in there so quick. Because I think he died in November, so it was really nice to get that in there. Even though we know that the cameo was recorded already.
Yeah, I mean, with how animated stuff, especially an animated movie like this, his cameo was probably recorded like 2 years prior.
Yeah. But all in all, I just think that there's very little to complain about with this movie. Yeah. This movie just
I would
works so well.
If I had one little nitpick out, just while watching it yesterday, like Miles and not Michael B. Jordan, Peter B. Parker, they had great character arcs.
Yeah.
All the other Spider-Man, I mean, the three cameo kind of like, Penny, Spider-Man Noir, and Spider-Ham. Oh, I mean, they were fun to have, but they didn't really have any real huge dimension to them. Maybe Penny a little bit with his spider, especially after the robot was destroyed. But I really, really like Spider-Woman, Spider-Gwen. Haley Steinfeld did a fantastic job with her voice, but we really didn't get a whole lot of development from her. We got a little bit of flashback with her seeing her Peter Parker die.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I wanted a little bit more from her because I liked her so much.
Yeah. Yeah. No, she was pretty much there as a mechanism to get the plot moving and to give Miles some inspiration. I feel like once we get into the next Spider-Verse movie, which comes out in June, we're going to get a lot more of her.
Yeah.
Which I'm looking forward to. I really am looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And finally, I guess we should touch on the post-credit sequence.
Oh my God. Okay. Oscar Isaacs was so great in that. What's funny about that post-credit sequence too is I felt like seeing it in the theater, it was a lot shorter than it ended up being.
Yeah.
And it was actually, I don't want to say quite a bit longer. It makes it sound like it was a 10-minute scene. But it was long enough to kind of get him all set up where he's going to take care of various Spider-Men from various universes, and then he ends up in the meme.
Hey, you're pointing at me. No, you're pointing at me first. Hey, it's very rude. What? Who pointed first? Clearly, it was Spider-Man.
Well, it was funny too because with that '60s show, of course, there's an Irish cop there too. I think I'm seeing double.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's funny too when you go back and you look at this cast of how many people ended up in the MCU.
Yeah.
Like the MCU proper. Mahershala Ali, Haley Steinfeld,
Oscar Isaacs,
Brian Tyree Henry. They're all in the Marvel universe. I have the whole cast list up here. I pull it up.
Too, yeah.
But yeah,
and Brian Tyree Henry.
Yeah, I said him.
Did Chris Pine do anything?
Chris Pine has not done anything with Marvel, but he was Steve Trevor in Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And Wonder Woman 84.
Let's not mention that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Zoe Kravitz was Mary Jane, but she was Catwoman and the Batman. And she was also Angel in X-Men First Class. Catherine Hahn. Was that Agatha? We haven't seen Liev Schreiber yet outside of X-Men Origins, but the less said about that, the better. Yeah. No, I mean, Lake Bell. Why do I feel like Lake Bell did something in the MCU? I just probably not, but she was the voice of Fisk's wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see anything here. So, you know why I'm thinking that? Because she's the voice of Ivy in Harley Quinn.
Oh, yes, she is.
So yeah, there's a lot of voices in here that went on to do the superhero gig, which is really, really cool. But all in all, I really love this movie. It's even like my wife, who's the biggest superhero fan. Like James wanted to watch a movie with her, and he was like, "I want to watch Into the Spider-Verse," and she sat, she watched. She's like, "I really enjoyed that because it's so frantic, and because it defies a superhero movie because it's more about what makes the superhero."
Yeah,
and it really truly understands Spider-Man.
Yeah, and I mean the animation style alone is just so unique and different. That it's just visually stunning.
And that's what I'm worried about in the subsequent two movies is that it's just going to become old hat. We've already seen that style of animation done since then with the Mitchells versus the Machines. But
I was about to say the same thing. It's like that's why I'm the sequel it much like most sequels like the Lego Movie sequel.
Yeah.
It was still great, but it lost some of the magic because it wasn't new and fresh anymore.
Right. Exactly. So that's my fear, but I'm still going to go into it. I've been seeing a lot of the stuff on Twitter. It's like, which one do you want to are more hyped to see? The new Spider-Verse or the Flash? And I'm like, Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pay to see the Flash.
No, I will not pay to support Ezra Miller. I don't care.
Right.
I'll watch it when it gets on
I don't
HBO.
care if Keith. All we got to do is wait 3 months and it'll be there anyway. So yeah. So anyway, that was Into the Spider-Verse. We want to know, what are your thoughts on this one? Do you like it? Because I do know a few people who it's not their favorite, which is totally cool.
Yeah.
But we want to know your thoughts. Leave a polite comment below in the comments. We love to hear that. Also, we do this every week, so if you want to be informed on the latest and greatest, hit that subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up. It helps us in the algorithm. Also, Mike and I host a little podcast called Geek Salad. You can check that out wherever you get your podcasts. It's your Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts. We are there. If you're on iTunes, give us a 5-star review because it's the only one that counts. Also, we are on the socials. We are on Facebook at Geek Salad Podcast and Twitter at Geek Salad Radio. Give me a reason to post something, please. And I've been really off my Twitter game lately. But other than that, Mike, what do we think we're doing for next week? What do you want to call for next week? Do we want to do our original first pick?
Can't remember what our original first pick was.
The green one.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to look up to see what we were talking about. So, yeah, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure that out. Okay, so to be determined. I have a feeling we know what we're going to be doing, but to be determined. So, yeah. So, please check out our archive if you haven't done so already. We just did a whole month of Disney documentaries. We do this every week. So, Kevin, thank you for watching this evening. Thanks for telling us about that. I knew there was a connection. I couldn't remember what it was. So, thank you so much. And, yeah, so we will talk to you next week. And until next time, I'm Andy.
I'm Mike.
Go forth.